I knew it. I knew it. For the practice race, I started right at the front. I knew I wasn't going to be able to start at the front. I'm not too far away, though. Let's see how it goes. This video is supported by my wonderful channel members here on YouTube. Click the join button below the video to directly support the channel and find out all the perks you can get by doing so, including early access to videos and having your name listed at the end of each video. Away we go. Yeah, at least for once I'm not starting at the back. I do seem to have had a bit of a habit in random races lately, whether they're random alls or random moors or whatever, where I'm just spawning at the back. So at least I'm not there. I wouldn't mind spawning at the front at some point though. Anyway, we're in Bodies because this is one of the many cars that I think should be in the utility vehicles class instead of where it currently is, which is off-road. Oh god. We'll talk about the theme of this race, but let me get through these first couple of laps first. It is a random select, so we got 30 cars across 30 laps, which means that by the end of the race, everyone will have had one of every single car, and it should all even out by the end. The Walton L35 stock. Why this isn't just called the Walton, I'll never know. You got the Walton L35, which is like lifted off-road version, presumably, of the Walton. But then you get the Walton L35 stock, which should just be the Walton. And then the Drift Walton L35, which is based on the Walton L35 stock, not the actual L35, but is the Drift. Don't get me started on that. We're not here to talk about naming conventions. We're here to talk about vehicles that should really be in the utility class. Slam van. This one, so there are multiple vehicles here that, like, I've just kind of gone with an overall list. This idea was actually brought about by McGregor. He sent me a list of a bunch of vehicles and an idea to race with them all as... Really. Okay, well, my chance of winning this race is now gone. So I've talked quite extensively over the recent few, I don't know, months, I guess, even longer maybe, when we get vehicles just shoved in off-roads or a bunch of other classes, really. The slam van is obviously in muscle, and you know, they're basically pickup trucks, but we don't have a pickup trucks class. We don't have a trucks class. We actually do have a trucks. It's in the creator, but it's for big rigs. Don't worry about it. But we don't have like a pickup trucks class. But the utility class is like right there. It's right there, and it's been in the game, criminally underused for 13 years. It's got the lawnmower, the air tug, a bunch of sort of, I would say, vehicles that could also go in the commercial class instead. I'll still get that video out at some point about what I think, where I think cars should go in different classes. But whilst we're waiting for that, doing a random race of vehicles that could realistically go in the utility class, for example. The idea came about from the previous random race we did of vehicles that are in the wrong classes. Now we're doing vehicles that should be in a specific class. Firebolt ASP. It's a pickup truck. It would be perfect in the I was going to say off-roads, in the utility class, But no, it's stuck in off-roads. Nothing about this to me screams off-road vehicle. I don't know. I don't know whether there's another way to look at it that makes it seem like that. But like, this is not an off-road vehicle. So McGregor sent a long list. We've sort of cut it down to 30. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with all of them, but I just thought I'll include the full list that McGregor sent over. And most of them seemed about right, but we'll decide as we go through what we feel. Well, if you're gonna squeeze me. So June loader. I mean, the utility class, it has like the lawnmower, the air tug, a bunch of stuff like that, but it also has the saddler, which is pickup truck. Bloody hell. So when the game first came out, we had the saddler in the utility class, and then the bison was in the vans class. But they look basically identical. They're essentially the same vehicle. They were almost had exactly the same performance as well. I think that the bison's like 1 second a lap quicker or something. But the bison was for some reason inexplicably in vans, despite being a pickup truck. And the saddler, which looked identical to it, was in utility. And then since then, we've had a bunch of pickup trucks and other, you could consider to be utility oriented vehicles put in the game, and they just get shoved into random classes, mostly off-road. Here's the actual Walton L35. See, this one at least has some more of a sort of a hold on being in the off-roads class, because it's got, you know, the off-road wheels. It's like kind of lifted and whatnot, but I still think it would make more sense in utility. And can you imagine if we had a utility class now where all of these vehicles were in it? It would be incredible. The utility class actually has the benefit of also being raceable. So vehicles that get shoved in, say, commercial or emergency or industrial, none of those are raceable. But utility is actually a raceable class, but it never gets used because it's either, if you've got customs on, the saddler wins, and if you've got customs off, it's either the slam truck or the golf caddy. And there's like 6 vehicles you can use for those races. Having a utility class that had all of these, I mean, it would make it quite an interesting class just on its own. And you'd get some of these vehicles out of the classes that they're actually in that make no sense, like off-roads. Kalahari I can give a bit more. Again, off-road, it's meant to be like one of those vehicles that they use on safaris and stuff, isn't it? But still, like, I think that the general thing is that most of these vehicles, sometimes with certain vehicles you can say, okay, I can see why it was put in a certain class, off-road or muscle or whatever, but under most situations it would still be better if it was in utility. It would make utility a more interesting class. I think it would make more sense for the vehicle to be in utility along with a bunch of other pickup trucks. And it would, yeah, it would make utility races actually interesting to do. But no, we get them all shoved into bloody off-roads. It's an interesting selection of cars though. We've got fast cars, slow cars. I'm hoping I've got some of the slower cars early because I'm already a lap down. The Riata. Be cool if you could get this livery and modifications on vanilla GTA. Can't wait for the same issues and rants when GTA 6 comes out. Oh yeah, 100%. It's not going to get any better, I'm sure. We can hope that there's more classes and we have a pickup trucks class or whatever. We have a vintage class for stuff like the really slow sports classics, retro supers. You know, we can hope for more classes, but and actually put in the right places, but I don't hold out too much hope, honestly, because we're still getting cars added to GTA 5 that are in ridiculous classes even now, so. Everon RS. I think this one might be one of the more controversial choices. Like, does it really count as an SUV? Maybe you could see it as an SUV if you really squinted your eyes enough. But also, would it be more appropriate being at the top of the utility class and being interesting for utility vehicle races? Probably battling with the non-HSW Firebolt. Not even a 4-door. That's true, actually. It's not even a 4-door SUV. 2-door, the 2-seat SUV. It's a pickup, like, just like the Picadors. It's a pickup truck, but this is in muscle. The Everon RS that we just had is basically just a bigger, faster, sportier version of this. Like when you look at the overall body shape. And I know that SUV stands for Sports Utility Vehicle, so like you could say that it's a utility vehicle with a bit of a sportiness to it, but come on. At this stage, SUVs is taken to mean, you know, it's a very specific body style that we associate with SUVs now. 4-door, 4-seat, often bigger than 4-seat maybe sometimes. What is the Picador officially a ute? A lot of these are utes. Is a ute the same as a pickup truck? I don't get the difference, honestly. Like, we got the Sand King here. Does this count as a pickup truck? I can see why this was put into off-roads, but also, again, like, ute is like the SUV of pickups. Well, like, a ute is a car conversion pickup truck. Okay, so a ute is like a sporty, more car-oriented version of a pickup truck. That's, I've never really thought about it so much. But again, because we don't have like a utes class or a pickup trucks class, I feel like all of these vehicles still just work better in utility. The Dubster 6x6, I'm not sure. This is the one, now this is the one that I personally think is the least convincing out of all these cars that we've got in this race. I think the Dubster 6x6 is fine in off-road. Especially with the name like 6x6 with the 6 wheels as well. Doesn't ute come from abbreviated utility? I mean, that would make sense. Ute is more of a, it's like an Aussie thing, right? Like the terminology. You guys in Down Under use that terminology in those vehicles more. It's not really a thing here, at least. Don't Aussies call all pickup trucks utes? So it's not just the small ones. That's what I don't know. Like, I'm not from Australia. I don't know. I missed what this was. Is this the Everon? The regular Everon? Yeah, it is. Okay. I always forget this vehicle's existence. I don't have it in vanilla GTX. I think it drives terribly. It drives a lot better on Project Homecoming. Like, it's trying to figure out the line between what is like an off-road truck and what is a, you could consider a utility. Like, I don't know. I just think all these things makes... There's the Saddler. The only one that actually is in the utility class. Had to be included. But if this is in utility, it's, you know, bog standard pickup truck. We haven't had the Bison yet, but... Oh, I hope I get the Bison next. That'd be so cool. To, like, see the basically exactly the same vehicle, but they were put in completely different classes. But yeah, this screams utility class vehicle, and it's just like so many of the other vehicles we've had in this race are so similar to this in function and vibes that they make so much more sense in utility than they do in something like off-road to me. Cara 4x4. Unfortunate. I wanted the Bison. Oh, we got a Bison in front of us though. There's the Bison. So I didn't change into it, but we saw one change before our eyes. It's the same vehicle almost. Again, this feels more utility vehicle to me, this Cara 4x4, than off-road. Like, off-road to me is like off-road buggies, you know, things like the Dune buggy. I don't know, it's difficult to put into words what off-road means, but I don't know, I feel like utility trucks, pickup trucks, could definitely be more in utility than off-road. Here's the Bison, I was one car off, damn it. Making my way up the order though. I can't wait for all the Bulgans showing up in the YouTube comments section, having a big old row over what is a ute and what isn't. It'll give some interaction to the video, I suppose. Argue in the comments below what you feel about all of these vehicles. Should all of them be in the utility class? Only a small amount? What's a ute? What's a pickup truck? Should none of them be in utility? Argue below. Give me that sweet interaction in the comments. Push the video in the algorithm. Like, I can't believe this was put into vans. This is one of the original 2013 misallocations. Wow. The Yosemite 1500, we almost got a like-for-like vehicle change. We've gone from a Bison to a Yosemite 1500. They were basically the same vehicle. Yeah, the Yosemite 1500's in utility, in off-road. The Bison is in vans, and the Saddler is in utility. That was so lucky, literally pixels away from being exploded. Was I really? What, the character coming through the, like, lagging through, would it have, what, destroyed my engine or something? Yeah, I didn't realise I was so lucky. Yeah, nothing about this looks off-road to me. Absolute bog standard pickup truck. 100% should be in utility. The Camacho, another one that I could see. I can't say... I can't be too against it being in off-roads. Like, it is a pretty big, bulky, off-road style truck. But also, I think it could quite easily go in utility as well. Like, it could equally be in both, I think. And you might as well put it in utility, which is the less populated class, rather than just be another one of the 80 vehicles in off-roads. Yeah, that pedestrian is 100% indestructible and will screw you over. Wow, okay. I got very lucky. But then, that's one of the... This is one of the least convincing ones. Slam Van Custom. The Slam Vans, I don't know whether it's because I'm used to them being in muscle. Maybe it's like the engine sound that's doing it for me as well. Like, I can kind of, maybe I'm just used to it. Like, I kind of see why they're in muscle. But also, would it be better in utility? Probably. realistically, I think I would prefer it being in utility anyway. Even if it has like the custom conversion and muscle sort of stylings. Well, it should be in a lowrider class, that's true, but we didn't get a lowrider class, did we? Yeah, the rat truck. From one to another. Again, I think it's like the engine sound of these things that make me feel that like are giving it that muscle feel, but really, well, I guess, is this really a utility vehicle? Could you actually do anything with this? With the big rear wheels and stuff? Like, it's meant to be like a bit of a drag car, right? Whatever this is based on. Would you actually do any utility? I don't. Maybe this is also one of the less convincing ones. This and the slam vans and some of the off-roaders like the Camacho. But I didn't want to go through the big list with a fine-tooth comb and like just specifically have everything that I think should be in utility. It has a tray at the back, so it's a ute. I guess. Ask farmers from the 1960s. Okay, well that's utility for them, I suppose. Contender. This was put in SUVs. I remember. It destroyed the SUVs class as well. This could have been great for utility. You can take the bed off the back as well to have that pickup bed on the rear. Need a separate hot rods class for many of the retro style muscle trucks. That's true. There is a certain limitation to the actual classes, and when I make that video on where I think cars should have been put, I am going to stick to the classes. I'm not going to create my own classes, because then it just gets way too complicated and you're asking too much at that point. So there is, you are limited on the GTA classes that were conceived back in 2013. But when utility is right there and has no vehicles in it, basically, and things are put in muscle, off-road, vans, SUVs for a big friggin' pickup truck. Like, some of them are a lot more obvious than others. It is a nice sunset. Especially when GTA 4 had a wider selection too. That's true. GTA 4 had a vintage class. It had a trucks class. It had... Well, it didn't have more different classes, to be fair, but it had some classes that didn't get translated over to GTA 5, at least. Yeah, beautiful sunset. Yosemite, I mean... There was a pickup. There was a... the Yosemite is a perfect example of a ute, right? The Guardian, shoved in industrial. Ordinarily wouldn't be raceable because it's in the industrial class, but they made it raceable in off-road races. Just put it in utility. By default, it becomes raceable with vehicles like it. This is gonna spot this video. Another benefit of not just including all the vehicles that could even remotely potentially go in utility rather than putting the ones that definitely should be there is that it's going to spark an interesting discussion in the comments and arguments. Yeah, this is the same class as the dozer. Yeah, the industrial class has the dozer, the cutter, the dump, and the Guardian was just shoved in it. Squaddy. I still think the Squaddy should really be in a military class, actually. Rather than... It certainly shouldn't be in off-roads. Military or utility are better fits. Yeah, viewer engagement. Give me that sweet engagement in the comments. Isn't vintage just sports classics? So the vintage class in GTA 4 contained what we would call the slow sports classics now, which is the POT, the Mañana, the Tornado, stuff like that. But they never brought the vintage class over, they just made sports classics and shoved a load of it. Wasn't this? Wait, is this in SUVs? Not. I don't even know what class this is in. I thought it was in off-roads. Did they put the Squaddy in SUVs? Oh, they did, didn't they? I mean, the Patriot's also in SUVs, but I guess you can kind of go... That's more of the, like, civilianized version of the Hummer, isn't it, really? The Squaddy feels more militaristic, I would say. Okay, even off-road would have made more sense for the Squaddy than SUVs. I wonder if I'm on for a top 10. There's only 3 laps to go. I don't know if I've got any more bogey vehicles left. This isn't particularly quick, but... Again, the Sand Kings and these bigger trucks, I can kind of see them being in off-road. But... Yeah, check GTAcars.net if you want to be sure that the Squaddies and SUVs. Alright, the Boer. Put in the off-roads class. This is a... Like, does it count as like an off-road ute, this one? The car it's based on in real life? The Subaru, whatever it is. But again, utility makes more sense for this than off-roads. In my opinion. There's actually subclasses to the name ute. Your Hilux and the like is a pickup truck, but still a ute. And your El Caminos, etc. are coupe utility, but also still utes. Okay. See, I don't know the terminology of utes and pickup trucks and all this stuff well enough. And there's always blurred lines, to be fair. Alright, there's 8th. Drift Yosemite. Oh, this actually is the drift one though, because we're on Project Homecoming. Damn it! So I did still have a bogey vehicle to go. We had to mix in a drift car into the list. There should be a separate drift class, really. It's silly that, like, I know there is a drift class for drift races, but all the drift vehicles are still in their original classes. Like the Drift Yosemite is in the muscle class, technically. The drift class is just a subclass for all the drift cars in vanilla now. Like, really, they should have just created a separate drift class, like they created a separate open wheel class. And like they should have created for tuners, I would say, as well. But they didn't, they just made it a subclass only for races. Okay, that wasn't too bad of a lap, actually. Bobcat XL, my last... Oh yeah, I'm not going to survive. Okay, it's whether I can keep a top 10, because I'm not going to... I'm going to lose this position to Benny. That puts me in 10th. Bobcat XL is in vans as well, isn't it? We did a multi-class endurance championship race with the Bobcat XL in GT3 around Ron Raceway. People did not enjoy it. I also did not enjoy it. I'm going to lose 10th. I'm going to defend. No brakes. No. Top 10's gone. Again, I can kind of see the van-esque nature of it, but like, to me, vans have more of a body shape of things like the Speedo, the Rumpo, the Gang Burrito. This would make more sense in utility. So close. 2.5 seconds away from a top 10 in the end. Without the takeout and respawn, I think I would have got a top 10. Maybe a top 5, actually. I was only 10 seconds away from a top 5. Interesting, though. Interesting class. Interesting to go through all of these cars and have a think of, you know, where we might want these vehicles to be. I think the vast majority of vehicles, if all of these vehicles had been put in the utility class when they were released, I wouldn't have questioned it. I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense, that's fine. Like, going the other way, if, say, there's an off-road truck, say, if it just happened to be put in utility, you wouldn't be like, that should be in off-roads, really. You can think now, oh, would it be better in off-roads? instead of being in utility. Maybe, maybe not. But if all of these had been put in utility from the off, I don't think anyone would question it. Utility is the underappreciated and forgotten about class. Considering it's usable in races as well, so much potential for a very interesting class with utility that could have been used in races and given us a good time. But we missed out on it big time. Very much underutilized, yeah. Utility is such a weird class because you have all the trailers in there as well. That's true, every single trailer that you can attach to a big rig is technically in the utility class. It feels like Rockstar was going for vehicles for work with it, but you also have industrial and commercial, so there's a ton of overlap anyway. I know, it's weird, it's like, it feels like they just shoved stuff in the end. Like they got sick of trying to figure out where these things should go, so they just shoved stuff in. There's a ton of stuff in utility that really could be in commercial or industrial, and then you put the pickup trucks in utility. We'll see. We'll see when I make my video about it, where I think things should go, and if we get more interesting classes because of it. But for now, that was the underutilized utility class. And yeah, how ironic that utility is underutilized, I know. I just realised I didn't thank DiNmiTe for sorting out that class for us. I mentioned McGregor, who came up with the class entirely, but I forgot that I second time in a row. That is 2 random races in a row that DiNmiTe has helped to organise that I have forgotten to thank him on. Sorry. Thanks, DiNmiTe. Looking forward to the messages at the bottom of the screen. God damn it. Do you know something else that I've done? It wasn't even McGregor that gave me the idea. It was McDrew. You can see the confusion between the Mcs, right? But I got that completely wrong. I've just noticed by looking at the message in Discord. I've just ruined everything about giving credit to anybody for that race. Giving me so much work fixing things. Oh my god. Sorry to everybody for everything that I've ever done. I'll just say that, and then that covers me. It was McDrew who sent me the list of vehicles and gave me the idea. And it was DiNmiTe who took that list and made the race happen in game. There we go. Thank you, McDrew and McDiNmiTe.